Warm up, warm up, warming up for art making. Warm up, warming up for art.
Now, before we can take our drawings and transform them into three-dimensional drawings, we need to make sure we understand how to make all the different values to help create that illusion of 3D. So what we're going to practice with today is creating a gradation scale. This is going to be a reference for us. So when we create our three-dimensional drawings, we know what values to create and how we can show it in our drawing. So let's check it out how we make this scale.
Now, to create your scale, you want to draw out a skinny rectangular box. Using a straight edge like a ruler or the edge of a sketchbook, draw your lines nice and even, and then draw out 5 different boxes so you can show the different values. If they're not perfect, no big deal, as long as they are relatively even and consistent. Then you want to mark where your darkest to lightest values are. So D for darkest, L for lightest. So you know where to start and where to end. But you also want to mark your middle because you need a middle point so you know where to go. So M for middle or mid value. I like to start in the middle so I at least know my halfway point. But I start very lightly, filling in the box nice and even, making sure my value is consistent within the box, keeping a light pressure. So if I need to erase, I can erase it as best as I can. And then slowly going back over with another layer, building up that value just about the right middle tone or value I want to have. Then I'm ready to go to my darkest. Same way I started my middle value is I'm going to start with an even consistent layer, not going all the way dark by pressing very, very hard. No. I'm slowly building up this value because I want to slowly bring it to the darkest value I can create. If I go too dark too quickly, it's hard for me to erase or edit or fix. So I want to slowly build it up by layering each time, adding just a little bit of pressure each single time. This exercise is really good, or this warm-up is really good for helping you control the amount of pressure you place on your pencil. This is really good when controlling the different values you need in your drawings once we start applying this to our three-dimensional drawings. So I'm always comparing and thinking about what's going to happen next. Now I'm going for that middle between my middle value and my darkest value. So I need to find the middle point between those two values. Same thing, always going in with a light layer, consistently filling it in, and then going back and adding more layers until I get the value that I feel matches that space. Filling it in nice and consistent, making sure it's not too streaky because I want it to look nice and even. My goal is always to be very consistent and even, using just the right amount of pressure. Once I fill in, then I want to compare and check my work. Maybe I want to squint my eyes and see if it blends in together nice and even. Now I have to go back and make my dark value a little bit darker to really make it stand out as the darkest value. But I just need another layer and voila, I have my darkest value. So it's gradually changing. Now I want to think about that middle value between my middle value and my lightest value. Lightest value, I'm actually just going to keep the color of the paper. So now for this last box, I want to make sure I am barely touching the pencil to the paper so I can get that very light value for this box. Consistently filling it in, and voila, I have this nice light value before I get to my lightest. So now I have that gradual change in each box, layering and eventually getting to my light value very consistently. Now I'm creating a gradual gradation scale where I'm going to make these values slowly transition from darkest to lightest all in the one box in one space, not individual boxes. I can use the box above to reference my values to make sure I'm consistent and concise.
So, for this warm-up, you are creating a gradation scale, showing your darkest values transition to your lightest values. Now, to really challenge yourself, why don't you try making a gradation scale with color? Like, for example, I was practicing how to make the values of this teal color. I was using color pencil. So, challenge yourself. See how you can change the different values of different colors, or how you might make that transition from one color to another color. Good luck, my friends, and happy warm-up!